Starting now, we're on the drive with Tom Sherman coming back from the Roar Nationals at Beach Hobbies.
What's up?
Here we go. First question, Tom, is where'd y'all stay at when y'all got there?
This year we stayed at an Airbnb when we went to Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
So it's a house there in Myrtle Beach instead of a hotel.
Right. Is that the way to go?
Yeah, if you have a large enough group of guys, I mean, pretty much all the Team Exalt guys, we stayed at the hotel. Or, I mean, at the Airbnb.
Okay.
What was there? 10 or 12 of us in that house. I can't remember what it was. There was only 10 of us. I can't remember. But yeah, it worked out. It was a lot cheaper than what we would have paid at a hotel for 5 days.
Right. What about the camaraderie between the guys? Like any setup shared? Like any setup tips or anything? Racing tips shared?
You know, there was some tire discussions and maybe a little bit of setup discussions. With our team, you know, we got a wide variety of chassis on there. So
right.
You got there's TLR chassis, Associated, Xray, Schumacher guy. So kind of a wide variety of guys, you know, driving for Team Exalt. So
right.
Wasn't a whole lot. It was probably more tire oriented and maybe some motor and gearing stuff. That was about it.
Okay. So Tuesday, tires and pits. So where'd y'all was it enough pit spots?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of pit spots. We set up pits on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Wednesday morning.
Okay. What tire did you mount up on?
We mounted silvers, Jconcepts silvers, smoothies.
Okay.
For the buggy. I had the silver smoothies for my stadium truck, and then we did silver ellipses for the short course trucks.
Okay.
Then we sanded those down to slicks.
Is there a big difference between
Justin? I was gonna say, Justin, since it was an open tire this year, we knew what we wanted to run at Beach, so we mounted a bunch of tires prior to even going.
Right.
That way, saved some time mounting tires and when we were at the track. So that helped a lot. That saved a lot of time.
Is there a big difference between like smoothies and then sanded down ellipses?
For the short course truck, I think there is.
Okay.
And you know, it just kind of depends on the track and the surface, really.
Okay.
And this is, you know, just how we feel, me and my son. We like, on certain tracks, we like the sanded ellipses on, especially the short course truck, because we feel the ellipse gives us a little more side bite than the smoothie.
Okay.
And probably the same with the buggy tire. It may give us a little more side bite than the smoothie. That's how we feel about it. You know, some people may say different, but you know, that's what we have found with our cars, and you know, that's kind of the way we approach it. If we need a little more side bite, you know, maybe sticking with the smoothie or making more changes to the car to get the additional side bite.
So, how did practice go, and what'd you think of the track and track surface?
They nailed the track, I think.
Okay.
You know, right out of the gate, probably within 30 minutes, the track was tons of traction. You know, plenty of traction. There was no waiting for the track to come in. Seemed like as soon as you put your car out there, you had good traction. So it wasn't like in years past, like at Masters, where you know, it'd take 2 or 3 hours to get the track grooved in.
Mm-hmm.
But Brent and Lucas and that whole Beach crew, they did a hell of a job, I think, on the track. getting it prep for nationals. They did a hell of a job.
Right. Was it? Could you run RM2 foams, or did anybody do that? Like, did they have that much traction where you could run those foams, or no?
Yeah, RM2 foams up front. And there was a point where there was, a lot of guys switched to aqua tires for Jconcepts, and a lot of guys went to, a lot of guys were running the Proline DS3 Bald Eagles.
Right.
That seemed like the tire to have. It seemed like a lot of guys got, they picked up a lot of time putting that tire on. I think that's what Aiden Horn was running, and he was super fast all weekend. And
yeah, I saw him all over.
Shout out to him and the truck, man. I was happy to see Aiden Horn win that. His interview was good. I like seeing the emotion when somebody wins.
Man, I told him 2 years ago, I said, you're coming. I said, trust the process, you're coming. And
it's... See his dad go up there on the stand, give him a hug, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I mean, the thing is, we all know he was coming, It was just like, always something was off, But we all knew he was coming. But I always told him, I was like, trust the process, you're coming. You're getting there.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's a character, and it seems like he's always having fun when he's on the driver's stand, and it seems like he's having fun all the way around. So
right. So
enjoy that family a lot. They're good people.
Oh yeah. Layout. Did you like the layout?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. It was challenging, and it's just my opinion. I think the layout was raceable. It was racy. There was plenty of opportunities to pass. And it's just my opinion. It's nothing against Brent or Lucas or anybody. I just think scale track with 10 scale jump and features, not 8 scale jumps and features scaled down to a 10 scale track.
Right.
That's just my opinion. Some people disagree, some people agree. I don't care. It's just my opinion. I think you're running 10 scale, build a 10 scale track. Don't take 8 scale features and put them on a 10 scale track. It just, it's not the lower tier guys. It's really challenging for the mid-level guys. And the pros and then the top tier guys, they know how to get around it and know how to deal with it.
Right.
I just don't think it's, I don't know. I don't agree with it, but that's my opinion. That was, it was good. Oh, you don't know about the whole motor controversy there on day one, do you?
Nah, I'm hearing stuff through you. I ain't talked to anybody else yet.
Well, I didn't get into it.
Okay.
So I don't know 100% all the details. But from what I understand, Roar has new parameters for the motors. And you had a bunch of people failing tech.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, a lot of people's motors were failing. So, I think, what is it, R1 motors?
Oh.
Were failing. A lot of the stock motors were failing. Mine did not fail. The Exalt motors, I don't know if anybody's Exalt motors didn't pass, but you had probably, I would say, over 50% of the field's motors were failing. Okay.
Wow.
I don't know that for certain, but I know there was a lot of them. And from what I understood, if your motor failed, Roar was keeping them. And I heard two different things. I heard Roar was keeping the motor, and you you would not get it back. And then I heard Roar was keeping the motor and you could get it back at the end of the event. But then I hear, this is all like on Wednesday and Thursday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say typical Roar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to bash them or anything, but then they revert back to their old rules and everybody's motor passed. I'm just saying, if you have these new set of standards for motors, how did their motors get Roar approved at those standards? And then all of a sudden everybody's motor's failing. That's what I want to know. So did they approve them at the old standard and then change it? Or were they approved at the new standard and then they failed because they're changing the process the way they check them? I don't know.
What?
I think they were heating the motor, checked them. They were bringing the motors up to a certain temperature and then checking the resistance on them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I didn't pay attention. I didn't care. I just knew, dude, here's my motor. If it doesn't pass, I'm going home because I'm not going to buy a new motor.
So what about people that went and bought new motors and then they're like, oh, you can run it now. You can run your old one now.
Well, I don't think they were buying new motors. I think, they probably had plenty of motors to begin with.
Okay.
They probably weren't selling any motors because of it. Now they might have. I don't know. But, I guess what bothered me was the rumor that Roar was confiscating the motor and you weren't going to get it back.
Right.
And I'm like, sorry, you're giving me my data. I mean, if they would have confiscated my motor, I'm like, sorry, you're giving me my motor right effing now.
Right.
And I'll pack up my shit and go home.
Right.
And I don't know if any of that was true or not because it didn't happen to me, so I don't know.
Did you know what they were failing? Like why they were failing or no?
I think when they heated the motors or they got the motors to whatever temperature they were testing them at, I think the resistance was too low. Okay. It didn't fall within the parameters.
Okay.
That's what I think. I don't know. And then, they were taking some cars, like if you finished in the top 3, they really went through your car for tech. They really went through your car.
Right.
They unsoldered your motor, took your motor apart, checked your motor, checked the rotor, the whole 9 yards. But here's what bothers me, I guess. So we go to Nationals last year, and they check the width of your car with their gauge.
Right. That's how they always done it.
Right?
Right.
Right? Well, back in the day, they had a box. You put your car in a box. If it fits, it fits. If it don't, it don't.
Right, right.
But now they got other little go, no-go gauges. But anyway, so Justin's truck is set up exactly the way it was. It was the hexes and everything were set up on it. And its pill locations were all set up exactly the same. Well, they weren't the same, but the hexes were the same, so the width of the car was the same from what he ran last year in Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much the year before. So the width of his truck really didn't change. But he goes up there for tech, and it doesn't pass tech. Oh, your truck's too wide. And we're like, how is it too wide? It's the same exact, the front end now, talking about the front end.
Mm-hmm.
The front end had the same exact hexes on it that it had last year.
Mm.
So he was running 3s or 4-dot hexes. I don't remember what it was.
Mm.
On the short course truck. And I'm thinking, and Justin's like, how does this change? This is the same exact front end setup that I had last year. It shouldn't be, this truck isn't any wider than it was last year. And it passed tech every time last year. And then on my car, on my buggy, I ran the same axles on the rear. I've been running those same style of axles for 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never failed tech, ever. And now all of a sudden they said, oh, your axles are too wide. You have to cut your axles down to fit the end of the axle.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, wait a minute. The width of that axle has nothing to do with the width of the car. You know, the width of the car is at the edge of the tire, not the edge of the axle.
Right.
In my uninformed knowledge, I guess you'd say. So I think, you know, but they made me cut my axles down. So now if I want to run a bigger hex on my car, like if we go to carpet and I want to run the 6-dot hex on my car, the widest hex we make,
mm-hmm.
I can't put wheel nuts on it now. They won't thread, you know, I can't get enough. They won't go through the locking feature of the lock nut. It won't go through the nylon inside the nut.
But how did it pass?
So I'm not too happy.
How did it pass Roar Tech in Columbus and not pass this one?
Because it's inconsistent rules. It's rules. Now I'm not bashing Roar.
Right.
All right. I think they're doing a pretty good job right now. But it's too much inconsistency with enforcing the rules.
Right.
The rules are the rules. Period.
Right.
It's black and white. There's no gray areas. Oh, we're gonna. Nobody's passing tech, so we're gonna change the rules. Well, that's bullshit. You either bring product that's gonna pass tech, that's Roar approved, or you don't run it. You know, if your motor doesn't pass, go get a motor that does. You know, sorry. I just don't like the, well, you know, all these top guys aren't passing tech. Their motor manufacturers aren't here to get them new motors. So we're just going to go back to the old rules so they can race. So how can the lower tier guys, even the privateer guys, have motors that pass tech, and the pros are getting motors that are pushing the limits of the rules? So Roar bends the rules for the pros.
Right.
They're not consistent with the rules. And I think, you know, that's what I like about Brent and Masters and any other race that Brent does.
Right.
This is the rules. If you don't like it, you can go home, or you can change your stuff. It's that simple.
Right. And he's the same tech guy.
You know, and
as we say.
Yeah, he uses Paul Winslow.
Yep.
All the time for Masters. I was actually there. He came by and watched a little while.
Okay.
But, you know, Brent's just solid on that. Here's the rules. You're going to play by my rules if you want to race my race.
Right.
And I think that's the way Roar needs to be. If you're going to run a Roar event, you run by Roar rules. Not have, you know, okay, well, we're going to go back to the old rules so you guys can run.
Right.
You know, they did that at the e-buggy nats in Tampa.
Yeah.
You know, they changed the rules because nobody had legal motors.
Yeah.
Motors that weren't Roar approved. So they bend the rules.
Or, you know, how come Roar don't have bump ups?
Because it's, you know, I think at a national event, you should have that a little bit.
Okay.
You know, and it would be cool to have bump ups. I think you locked in the top 10, period.
Right.
The A-main's locked in. Top 10, go to the show.
Right.
Now, if you want to bump up from the F main to the B main, knock yourself out. Right. Qualify 9 for each main and bump up 1. Right. You know, I think that would be cool.
Like Masters is what, 12 on the gate, right?
No, there's 10.
Okay.